I've been meaning to show you this game for a long time. This is Journey. It's a game about walking towards the light and looking at beautiful scenery. That's the game. And by that description, I can see that it doesn't seem all that appealing, right? Well, you'd be wrong. Because the nature of games allow for a wide variety of experiences. I mean, okay, at first glance, it certainly looks like one of those artsy-fartsy games. You know the ones. The ones that wax philosophical, and at least, according to mainstream consciousness, barely qualifies as a game. However, those people are stupid. Journey is special, and honestly, I think it deserves to be put on some kind of list for top 100 games you have to play before you die. It's that important. When people question if video games are art, point them to Journey. I haven't come across another game that quite captures its atmosphere and majesty. Journey was developed by Thatgamecompany, along with Santa Monica Studio, the people behind God of War, so the immaculate detail you're seeing is something to be expected. It's coming from a team who has talent. It was published by Sony for the PlayStation 3 in 2012, and also remastered for the PS4 and PC. I remember getting this game immediately upon release, and I don't really remember why, but I'm glad I did. For a game that's only an hour in length, it left such an impact with me. Journey has you play as a red figure who travels across different landscapes on your way to a beacon of light. The story is told through cutscenes and your own experience in the game. When you go to a checkpoint, those areas will reveal more about the world. However, the symbolic meaning is ultimately up to your own interpretation. But personally, I came away with it being about reincarnation. Spoilers for a game released in 2012. When your character gets to the top of the mountain, you're brought back to the start of the game to do it all over again. Maybe on your next playthrough, you'll explore the world a little more, or maybe appreciate the scenery. And I mean, the scenery? It's really pretty. It's just really pretty. I gotta tell you guys, I love style over substance, and sometimes visual flair can do a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to an overall experience. It has such a great blend of minimalism and yet high fidelity. The main character has a simple, low-poly design, and that makes it timeless. Simplicity allows for things to age better over the long term. For example, Toon Link's design in Wind Waker. That design has aged so well to the passage of time, and looks way better than Twilight Princess, which came out in the same console generation. Where the high fidelity lies is in the sands. This is the highest quality sand I've ever seen in a video game. And I have to imagine, it must have pushed the PS3 to its absolute limits, because during certain segments of this game, it looks like a PS4 game. It looks like a tech demo and a teaser for the next generation console, but it's on the PS3. Art and programming are two parts of the equation for game development, and when it comes to Journey, the art is certainly doing a lot of that heavy lifting. The world is so captivating and well realized, but that's not to say the programming is lacking. In my opinion, it's just enough. It may be a game about walking, and sometimes flying, but there is a lot of subtle things to consider, like the in-game physics. Your character feels real. When you try to climb up or slide down mountains, you feel that sense of realism. It feels like a struggle to climb up these giant sand formations, but when you get to the top and slide down, it feels great. There's a real sense of acceleration and weight to your character, and it feels believable. Even simply walking through the sands has a resistance, which again aids in that realism. The game is also really creative when it comes to locations. There's this motif of cloth that is present throughout the game. It's never fully explained, but you get the idea the whole world used magic cloth. It feels like there's a deep backstory and elaborate world that you missed out on. Old bridges are figuratively and literally brought back to life when you sing near them. You are bringing back a piece of this past world that you'll never fully see, but that's okay. You get to see vibrant red cloth, the same as you, and you feel like you belong. It's hard to describe, but you feel like you're controlling a character who knows more than you. The game is linear, and engineered to not have you get lost. For example, when you try to go out of bounds, the winds push you back on track. However, you're never sure where you're specifically going and why. I get that we're going to a mountain, and I know how to get to that mountain. But what happens when I get there? It feels like we're following directions from a GPS. We're in control, but at the same time, not really. We're just along for the ride. And the ride is varied. The way the game uses lighting along with the cloth motif can really set up interesting worlds. In one level, the cloth took the form of giant seaweed, and to give a sense of life, you use movement. So there's living jellyfish moving around. Add in some blue lighting effects and the game gives you a sense of being underwater, when in reality, you're in a tomb with low lighting. As you make your way through the game, the glimpses of sentient life reinvigorate you, both sentimentally, since you know you're not alone now, and literally, as more red cloth gives you the ability to fly. Speaking of being alone, that's how I'm experiencing the game now. My PS3 isn't connected to PSN anymore, but back when this game first came out, you could play with another person in the world at random, symbolic of how our journey in life can coincide with a stranger that we meet along the way. However, you'd only be able to communicate through the musical notes your character sings, showing that you can never fully understand another person. Oh, and speaking of music, the score for Journey is amazing. It's also very relaxing. It's this orchestral music that goes heavy on the cello. It's the type of OST that has very heavy bass, so I recommend listening with either quality headphones or using a surround sound system. The music is also dynamic. That's when music shifts to fit the moment. So, for example, when you see enemies or when they react to you, there will be a musical sting that cuts in. Or when you're rushing down a slope, the music will shift and become very upbeat in sound. And when you slow down, the music will also calm down. I really like dynamic music in video games. It's something that you don't notice until it happens, and it's a very nice touch. And it helps that the soundtrack for Journey is good. It was ranked in the top 10 soundtracks on iTunes in over 20 countries the year of its release. I think Journey is an amazing game. It's a world that feels vast and endless, even though it's only an hour long. You're this tiny piece of a greater story, and you feel like you're supposed to just take in the world. I believe in giving games the score they deserve, and that score shouldn't change even with the passage of time. So even after all this time, I still feel the same way about this game. Journey, as a game, has no flaws. It's a simple game, but it's one that achieved what it wanted to accomplish. To show us a world that's much bigger than us, to take our time, to appreciate beauty, to explore, and for us to question and ponder. But not only question and ponder about the world around us, but ourselves. If I strip Journey down to base fundamentals, it has fun mechanics. It's fun to slide down hills and fly. It's certainly an easy game, but the game isn't trying to make a public or symbolic statement about game difficulty, so that's a non-issue. I feel like I'd have to be nitpicking or be a contrarian to give Journey anything less than a 10 out of 10. A game that accomplishes what it was trying to do, while also being fun and visually timeless. This was a no-brainer. I give Journey for the PlayStation 3 a 10 out of 10. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I'll be uploading a extended thoughts video to this review, so please watch that video too. It goes over a lot of things I couldn't cover in this video, and yeah, thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, please feel free to follow. And also, I add more content to this channel sporadically, but it's always good. It just takes a while to make it. And please comment. I do read all of them, even the mean ones. And with that being said, have a good day.